When our backs are to the wall and when it seems like no help is coming, the fighters are going to fight and the leaders are going to lead, and what we do in these moments is going to define us. So, my friends, I ask of you, celebrate trans voices, protect trans youth, and defend trans rights.
Good afternoon, friends, families, and allies. Thank you all for coming out to commemorate this important day in our queer culture. When I was asked if I would like to speak at today's event, I had to really think about what being visible meant to me and what it means in the larger picture for our community. I believe that being visible is incredibly important to trans culture. It is the single most passively defined act we display every day by simply existing in a society that coddles, platforms, and protects fanatical political subcultures that seek to dehumanize, humiliate, and subjugate us. But being visible is also more than an act of defiance against a tidal wave of hatred. It's a beacon of support and hope to our peers and friends who may not have the love or support in their own lives, friends who might feel like they're not in a safe environment and are looking for places to be loved unconditionally. Our visibility lets them know that they're safe with us, that despite everything, we can have happiness and find hope. The unfortunate reality is that being visible in the trans community currently comes with another tax: being a target. While we fly the flag high today, I would like to remember the names of our brothers and sisters who were taken from us too early. Names like Brie Stone, Eden Knight, Brianna Guy, Julie Berman, Tahiri Bloom, Ariana Mitchell, and Sam Nordquist. Tragically, I could go on listing names of these cherished, beloved family members. Brianna Guy and Sam Nordquist are particularly notable, as authorities stubbornly still refuse to cite these cases as hate crimes, citing bureaucratic and antiquated reasoning for obtaining a conviction, despite these acts clearly being committed due to their gender identity. Sam Nordquist, a tragic and recent loss, has been described as one of the most horrific crimes some investigators have worked on. I remind you of this because I truly believe that it is impossible to separate these tragedies from being a visible trans person in today's climate. And that is because of a society that continues to cultivate and platform vitriol and bigotry against our community. On the Transgender Day of Remembrance, I cited the egregious targeting and assaults on our community by the Republican Party's campaign in the US. And since then, we have seen the horrific follow-through of those attacks. Unfortunately, many of us gathered here today, myself included, are now second-class citizens on US soil. But we don't have to look to the US as far as where these attitudes are being fostered. The Waterloo Catholic District School Board has a member currently forwarding a movement to ban pride flags from school. The mayor of Cambridge invited Michael Schellenberger, who has spread hateful misinformation on gender-affirming care and is a self-proclaimed opponent of woke ideology, to speak at a summit on mental health awareness. This move itself displays a stunning lack of self-awareness. Then we have Danielle Smith and Scott Moe, who have made a benchmark of their political careers, targeting and harassing transgender folks, children in particular. All the while, Danielle Smith is traveling to Mar-a-Lago and rubbing elbows with far-right media pundits. The right-wing known media apparatus has shamelessly taken to try and tar and feather Prime Minister Carney for related issues. Political ideologues are making their way into our own institutions and having influence. My friends, the call is coming from inside the house. But here's the good news. I have faith that they're going to fail. The courts and political activists are working endlessly to bring a semblance of normalcy and justice to the corrupt regime in the US. according to polling projections, Canadians are holding their elected officials responsible for their disingenuous crusades against woke. What we have to remember is that they are accountable to us, not the other way around, and we hold the balance of power in our hands. Their transgressions only work if we comply. Being visible in this new era is going to ask a lot of us. It's going to be a bevy of new challenges that some of us have been fortunate enough to not have to tackle head on. It's going to take engagement. I implore you, reach out to your peers, friends, and families for community building. If you have the time and drive to be more involved, follow the Bridge Brant, Gender Journey Brant, and Brantford Pride. These groups work endlessly, supporting our local community and are always sharing events and volunteer opportunities. Remember the importance of intersectionality and connecting with other communities who share our struggles of not being the status quo. Stay tuned in to our local politics. The largest force for change does not happen globally, federally, or even provincially. It happens in our own homes. No queer or trans person has a life-changing moment when they watch their favorite politician raise a pride flag on Parliament Hill. But they will always remember their first Pride Festival, their first makeover, their first time out with friends as their true self, and their first steps in their transition journey. And we keep this protected by holding our local representatives accountable to keep the city safe for all. We need moderates to get in the game. Not being into politics is no longer an excuse when human rights are on the line. Their silence is compliance. To quote Malcolm X, "A man who stands for nothing will fall for everything." And I guarantee you, if you show up for the trans community will show up for you. Stay abreast of provincial and federal legislation. Make your voices heard. There are resources you can use to sign legislation and petitions you support, such as on ourcommons.ca, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario.org, or even change.org. And if all else fails, if our democracy is compromised and our elected officials betray us, if the courts fail to protect us, and if our fair weather friends abandon us, our community has a long and storied history of civil disobedience. There can be no surrender or coordinated retreat in the battle for equal rights. I have marched and protested shoulder to shoulder with many of you here today, and that's what makes us visible. We have never quietly complied. When our backs are to the wall, and when it seems like no help is coming, the fighters are going to fight, and the leaders are going to lead, and what we do in these moments are going to define us. So my friends, I've asked of you. Celebrate trans voices, protect trans youth, and defend trans rights. Thank you.